All right, so most of you on the call today, I know there's just 4 or 5 of you on here, are new. So I'm going to talk from a new perspective. Lucas, here's the deal. Lots to learn anyway. And so I am talking about kind of the listing side of it today. For those of you who don't know it, I'm a partner in Northern Alliance. I have, I used to own Remax Core with Tarek. I don't know if you know Tarek, years ago. I haven't practiced real estate in Ontario. I was licensed there briefly. I did most of my real estate in Florida. And so now I coach for Tom Ferry. I've been a coach. Tom was my coach when I was 19. I got into the business at 19. I've been into it for 30 years. And so we've done a ton of real estate in that 30 years. Tom was my coach since I was 19, and I've coached for Tom for about 10 years. So I literally just travel. I speak for Tom in different cities around the country, and I literally am on my computer all day long coaching. I do live in Merrickville for the most part. I also have a place which I am at right now in Florida, and so I spend 50-50 Florida here. My wife actually works for corporate EXP, so she works for the corporate office and in Canada. So yeah, so I've been through it all. No matter where you are, if you're new to the business, at the end of the day, guys, Lucas, just right now, do you currently take listings currently? Or you do? Okay, cool. So guys, there's two sides to the business. So because a lot of you are kind of newer, I'm going to start with this, right? Like there's two sides to this business. And here's the reality, right? There is the buyer side. Let me see if I get a better marker. Right? There's the buyer side. And then there's the listing side. Now, a lot of us, when we get started, we really focus on the buyer side. Nothing wrong with that. Again, this buyer side requires a lot of work, but leads are easier to obtain on the buyer side. Like at the end of the day, a lot of leads come to us. So we tend to kind of fall into this rut. I shouldn't say a rut of only doing buyer side. If you want to leverage time and money, the listing side, right? We spend less time. We make about the same in money. Now, you could actually list for more, but don't forget expenses are higher on this, right? So expenses are a bit higher on the listing side, right? I mean, I joke around in Canada, but the truth is if you're going into the winter months, it's much better just to sit with a bunch of listings so you can stay inside and not have to be trudging around in the snow showing homes, right? Like that is, but that is the reality of it. The listing side is the powerful side. So I want to talk a little bit about listings today because anything in our business is literally skill-based, right? We have 3 jobs. Just to be super clear, we have 3 jobs in real estate that we should wake up every freaking day and do, right? Number one is lead generation, right? Every day we should get up, and I don't care what people say, the best lead generation is still done by phone. Wake up, get on the freaking phone, call everyone you know, call people. Like that is the number one thing every single day. How much time should you spend at it? The reality is 1 to 3 hours, right? And so if you're getting into this business thinking, it's going to be, this business is hard and requires you to work. And so, lead generation is key. Here's the truth. Being new to the business, you'll have the lead gen a lot more. I always say 5 years is the magic number. Once you're in the business for 5 years, business starts coming at you a little bit more. But man, when you're new to the business, you got to go chase after the business. You got to be willing to be a hunter. Second thing is visibility, right? And visibility is really, in today's world, so much of it's driven by social media. It's not only social media, but for the most part, we can easily market ourselves on social media no matter what we do, right? Creating that brand. And then the third thing is skill building, right? Like this year, I've been really focused on a project down here in Florida that I'm working on. And I'm down here pretty much, I fly, like literally I'll fly to Canada, back to Canada on Monday. I got my kids' martial arts belt tests. And then I get on the plane and fly back here Wednesday. Like that's been my year this year. And so my coach said to me, dude, you got to come to this event. And I said, I don't have time to come to that event this year. He said to me, man, if you're not getting better, you're staying the same. Not getting better, you're staying the same. And he said, because if you're staying the same, you're not growing, right? So the reality of it is we got to take the skill building piece and really run with it. And so the truth is, the number one, you know what the number one skill in real estate is? Anyone guess? No, no one's gonna guess. All right, number one skill in real estate is language, is learning the language of sales. And so I'll there's a book out there called Exactly What to Say. Buy that freaking book and learn the language pattern, talking to people. Yep, learn that the language patterns that are in that, because we're in the language of sales. In fact, we're actually in sales. It is more about psychology than it is anything else. Is learning how to get people from the place at where they are thinking of buying to where they're willing to write a contract. In fact, in today's market, it is tough. I mean, are you guys struggling with buyers, like looking at a buyer and trying to get a buyer across the finish line, like getting him to, agree and write an offer, right? It's tougher out there now than it's been, right? So real quick, making sure that visibility is on social media, that you have a social media plan, that you're willing to lead generate, figure out who you're going to call. We're going to talk about the skill today of listing, listing presentations. So I'm going to share my screen. Just so that you guys can take some pictures of this stuff or screenshots of this stuff if you want. Let me see where I'm at. All right, you guys can see listing presentation process, right? How to convert more sellers, appointments into listings. Great. All right, so let me I'm going to go through this really quickly. Again, if you want to take screenshots so that you have it. Preparation is key to going on any listing, right? Now, when we talk about a listing is no different than showing up and doing a show. You want to be an expert, show up, and this is your time to shine. It's time that you're on stage. But when you're on stage, you got to prepare, right? So showcase your expertise, allows you to determine the unique needs and goals of each client. And so I always say this, right? The proper presentation, and this is, whether you're doing a buyer consult, a seller consult, a recruiting consult, I don't care what it is. Here's the truth. This is the process, the sales process, right? It's build rapport, figure out their goal, right? So with a seller typically has 3 goals, right? And that goal is either they want to make a certain amount of money, they want to close in a certain amount of time, right? Money, time, or I'm just going to call it, or their process of what's next, right? Of what's next. I want to sell this house to do this. I want to, again, whatever's next, that you got to figure out what their goal is. Then you got to figure out their problem. Like, let's use the buyer, for example. Rapport, the buyer's goal is probably to get the best deal or to get the, whatever he gets. Give me just 1 second. My battery says it's dying, and I got to plug in my laptop real quick so I don't lose you. All right, and so again, you got to, with a buyer, their goal is to buy a house in a neighborhood, a certain amount of money, whatever that is. Then you've got to figure out what their problem is. So with the seller, you got to figure out what the problem is. A lot of sellers overprice, right? Maybe they want to do it too soon or too long, right? Like, oh, I'm in no rush. It could be 6 months, right? Or something is wrong with their process, that they've got to sell this for X in order to buy Y. You got to figure out what the problem is, solve that freaking problem. Share value, and then close for whatever it is. So in this case, we're going to be closing for listings. Like, that is the process. And so when we talk about in here, allowing you to determine the unique needs and goals of each client, that's what it's talking about, right? Working your way through kind of a needs analysis of how you help them. Prepare you with accurate information on the property and the community. Don't go and not know anything about the community. Like, do your research. assess property value, understand market conditions. Remember, this is your opportunity to show credibility. It will address potential concerns and challenges or their problems, and it sets the stage for a strong partnership. If you don't go in and present at a high level, do you think they're going to hire you? Right? When you're competing against some of the, again, that we got some good agents in our marketplace, right? And so when you're going in and competing against them, they don't have anything that you don't have to be a competitor against them. You just got to make sure that you're prepared to go into it. So really quickly, again, this is a little bit Americanized. So just really clear, you got to get more listing appointments. You should be setting your own goal and go, man, I want to go on X number of listing appointments and figuring out how to get on them. Number one place, sphere of influence past clients. Expireds and FSBOs are kind of well, expireds are definitely a US thing. There are some ways that you can do it. I'm not going to tell you that because it's really, you're not supposed to. So expireds are kind of tough. FSBOs, again, I mean, right now, does anyone know right now, like if you were to go after FSBO, where would you find them? Because a lot of them you were signing with, these 100% or whatever. Like, where would you find them right now as a FSBO in Ottawa? And did they sign a listing agreement? It just was a flat fee listing agreement. I think Lucas is answering me. There's online sites. Yeah. Okay. So at the end of the day, that's an option. Non-owner occupied, open houses. If you're a new agent, again, listings will provide you open houses. Open houses will provide you other listings in the neighborhood. Circle dialing, don't be shy of circle dialing. I know you got to be careful again in Canada because of all the rules. And then door knocking, right? Like go out and door knock. So I'm not going to talk a lot about that, but at the end of the day, lead generation, the number one thing you're supposed to be doing is more about going out and getting this. So what I want to jump into is kind of the process, right? So when we look at what we need to make sure that we're doing is that we're going in the appointment. Step one is probably done before the appointment, right? Take a picture of this and create your own process around it. Anything that has a process, you'll win. You'll win. Pre-listing questionnaire in advance. The reason we do a pre-questionnaire list in advance, right? And again, I'll move to the next slide just so I can do that. Pre-questionnaire is just simply about getting to know the seller before you show up. In fact, in today's world, I would be doing the pre-questionnaire on a Zoom call because then the listing appointment kind of becomes your second appointment. Right? And so this face-to-face relationships, like, let's be honest, the three of us looking at each other are building way stronger rapport than anyone that's on here that we can't see. They might be building rapport with us if they can see us, but we're not building rapport with them. So if you can get them on a Zoom call, that rapport piece sometimes takes care of itself, right? And then you just kind of go through this pre-questionnaire. It's getting information up front. What's your main motivation for selling? What is the time frame for selling your home? Tell me why you have loved living in this home. Have you had any previous experience in selling a home? Have you made any recent improvements or renovations to the property? What is your expected price range? Right? Don't argue any of this on a call with them. It's just a questionnaire. Are there any specific terms or conditions you'd like to include in the sale? Are there any specific concerns or challenges you foresee in selling your home? What is your preferred method of communication? Right? It gives us information so that when we show up there, it also gives us an opportunity for us to kind of meet face to face with them. There's Mr. Sam. And so the reality of it, exactly. And so the reality of this pre-questionnaire, it is starting the rapport process of listings. Matter of fact, it is no different than with buyers that we could be doing like a pre-questionnaire with buyers. All right, let's go back to the other one. Then it starts building rapport, right? Our job is to get to know people. People hire us because they like us. And they think we can help them sell their home. Because if they like us and they think that we're competent, they're going to trust us, and they will use us when they trust us. Right? But we got to build that trust. If they don't trust us, they're not going to use us. And so that starts right out of the gate. That's before you share anything. we talk about the purpose of the meeting. Right? And now the reason we talk about the purpose of the meeting is so that when we get to the end, then we can rephrase that. Let me go, I think I got purpose of the meeting right here. Right? So I would just simply get into this and go, hey, Angelo, listen, there's 3 outcomes that's going to happen at the end of this listing. We're going to agree that I can get your home sold and that we can move forward in getting your home sold ASAP. The second thing is you don't think I'm the right agent. And Angela, that's totally cool if that's okay. I just want to make sure that you know if I'm not the right agent, you just let me know and let me know how I can be the right agent for you. Fair enough? Yep. Okay, perfect. The third thing that's going to happen is I don't think I'm the right agent. Now, there's a couple of reasons that I could think that I'm not the right agent. It may be because that we're overshooting how quickly we can sell a home, or maybe looking at selling it too high, or maybe I just don't think I can sell your property. And in that case, I will let you know. Fair enough, Angelo? It gives you permission to give them feedback. Sam, did you have a question or were you just giving me a high five? Either way, I'm cool with it.
No, I just had a question about like the fact that you would say like I'm not the right agent, or you think that you're not the right agent. What parameters would be like kind of like the um would you say like, okay, like this isn't right for me?
Well, so wait a minute. So that's 2 different questions. So the first one is when you say you don't think I'm the right agent, what it
Oh,
does
no,
is
no, when if I was to say like, oh, I don't think I'm the right agent for you to the client.
okay. Well, let me give you an example. The house is worth 350,000.
Okay.
They want to list it for 500,000.
Okay.
Are you the right agent to sell that house if that's what they're doing?
Is that would it be like a way for you to like
Bring that up.
yeah, maybe say
Yeah.
like, okay, either
Yeah.
bring it like I don't
Bring that
yeah,
up.
okay.
They want to do a 30-day listing agreement,
Gotcha.
right? Because listen, I'm not sure that I'm the right agent. Here's the reason: is I invest a lot of time, effort, and money in helping my sellers sell their home. And the average days on market right now are 45 days. I don't know if that's your average days. And you want to give me 30 days to sell your home. I'm not sure I'm the right agent that can help you make that happen.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, perfect.
Right? So there's a bunch of stuff, right? It could be, hey, listen, we're ready to move. We need to sell it for 500,000 in 30 days. Hey, man, I definitely understand. Seems like money and time are important to you. Can I ask you this? Which is it? Is time more important or is money more important? Because I'm probably not going to be the right agent if your expectation of me is to sell it in 30 days for 500,000. Right? It's okay for you not to be the right agent for a property, because I'd rather you say I'm not the right agent than to take a property and start getting a bad reputation of not selling properties. Right? Because you take a listing and don't sell it, how does the seller feel about you? Right? They're definitely not referring you to their friends. They're definitely not going to use you again. Right? I am a person that becomes brutally honest to sometimes to my disadvantage. However, it's important for you to make sure that you're honest, right? So again, there's that's the 3 reasons or the purpose of the meeting, because at the end of the presentation, you're going to revisit that. You're going to say, hey, at the beginning of the presentation, remember I talked a little bit about the purpose of the meeting, that we're going to come out of this. I think that I can help you sell your home. What do you think? Yeah, you do. Okay, cool. So then we can move forward. You're gaining permission by asking that question. Right? Because, or if not, then you're also gaining permission for them to go, I don't think you're the right agent. And then you go, hey, I definitely understand that. That's totally cool. Okay. That's totally cool as well. Can you let me know why do you think that? Because I think I can sell your home. Right? Like, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to date myself, but you guys don't look like you're all that crazy young either. So, but like when I sell real estate, the internet was just becoming a thing. We used to advertise in the newspaper, but newspaper wasn't bringing anybody, and it was expensive. And so people used to always say to me, I'm not going to use you because you're not running ads in the local freaking newspaper. And all that said to me is, hey, I definitely understand why that's important. Let me ask you this. If I did run your home in the newspaper, would that change your perspective? Okay, it would. So let me ask you this. If I brought a buyer because I I was advertising it on the World Wide Web, on the internet. Would that change your perspective about how important it is to be in the paper? Yes, okay, great. Let me give you some examples of that. Right? Like that was a big one that I used to have to come across, which dates me and makes me old, but it's the reality of it, right? And so we all have that right now. So, all right, that's the purpose of the meeting. Let me go back to the thing, right? So purpose of the meeting. Then we have to uncover the seller's needs. It's really important for us to remember, none of this is about us yet. Because listen, I'm just going to give you a heads up. Most agents go in and go, hey, I'm Jarrod. Listen, I'm the #1 agent in the city of Ottawa, blah, blah, blah. Here's what I can do to help you sell your home. And a lot of sellers, they don't give a shit. Right? You know what they care about? They care about themselves. And they care about how you're going to sell their home and how much it's going to cost them and how much money they're going to make. That's it. Those are the three things. And so if you don't ever get to the bottom of that with them and you are just going in talking about how great you are, you're going to lose, right? And so you have to uncover the seller's need. What's important to them, right? Because it's either money, time, or what's next. Like, what's next for you? Like, let me give you another example of what's next. Hey, I started a new job in Toronto, July 1st. Okay, cool. Right? So that's the what's next piece. And so again, we want to make sure that we're uncovering that and we're going really deep with it. Right? Like, let me give you an example. Someone says, I need to make $500,000. I wouldn't stop at that. Right? I would go 3 levels deep. When you're uncovering someone's needs, it's 3 levels deep. So any of you are single, do it on a date. It works that way too. Right? $500,000. Well, listen, how did you come up with the $500,000? Right? And what about the $500,000 is important to you? Find out really clear, because you will find out by digging deeper why they think they need to get 500,000. It's the only way you're going to be able to counter that if 500,000 is not the number, right? So make sure that you're digging deep. It's not until step 5 that you're kind of getting into the listing presentation itself, right? And so the listing presentation itself is pretty much this: a brief intro. Don't make it about you. They don't care about you. They care if you can sell their house, right? So, it is important in the brief intro to let them know kind of who you are, what you do, like all of that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's the presentation is going to drive all the way through, getting to know the homeowner's motivation, share what you can do to match their needs, right? Like, share what it is that you do in selling a home to match their needs. Introduce the power of your team. Do you guys have a team? Any of you have a team? Right? Okay. And so if you're a single agent, do you have a team? Right? Well, you may, depending on what it is, but it's, again, it's the process or how we're going to handle that transaction. So while you might not be introducing the power of the team, you're going to introduce the power of the network. Like, again, our network, Northern Alliance. Hey man, listen, we have some of the best agents, in our network. And when I take a listing, I'm able to network them out. In fact, our network have sold X number of hundred of homes in the last, since the year to date, if you know that number. And so listen, the power of that is that once I take a listing, it gets out to those people who represent a lot of buyers, right? Share what's happening in your local market, explain the sales process, what they need to expect, right? Are you guys still seeing multiple offers in Ottawa on properties? Because I'll keep this chat up. Yeah, find out the pleasure of making, if you're with Northern Alliance. Love that. But at the end of the day, like, explain where we are in the market, in the market, explain the sales process, and then show how you can market their home. Like sellers want to know a couple of things. Number one is what they pay, how you're going to market their home, and how much money they'll make. Like, those are the 3 things. Matter of fact, if you were a way of just going in and blurbing all 3 of those things out, it's what they want, that could be your listing presentation. The reality of it is, is that's not what, how we do it, but that is what they want to know. So show them how you can market their home. Use social proof. If you're new and don't have social proof, do you have social proof in this group? Yes, you have tons of it. Right? And you can go, I'm sure any agent in our Northern Alliance group would gladly be okay with you going, hey, one of the agents in our group, they listed a home, on Monday, they had 4 offers and had it sold by Thursday. That's social proof. Right? Whatever it is. Handle any objections or questions. Right? So you have to, ask them what is their struggles, how do you get them to move forward, and then proceed with the pricing presentation. I'm not going to get into the pricing presentation, but that is next, right? The pricing presentation is a little bit about share the 3 options in pricing their home. If you want to write it down, 3 options in pricing their home. It is above market. So there's 3 ways, and it would be said, listen, Lucas, there's 3 ways for us to price your home. We can price it above market. The concern about pricing above market, it can stay on the market a really long time. And if time is important to you, then we may want to consider not doing that. Now, the second way of doing it is pricing it right at the market value. When we price it right at the market value, we are going to see probably more buyers come through, but we'll see more. Our offers that will come in will be more negotiation based, which will means people will be coming at us to offer this or offer that, can stay on the market a little bit longer. The third option is that we price just below market value. Now, if we price just below market value, sometimes what happens is we create a feeding frenzy. And when we create a feeding frenzy, we get multiple offers. And when we get multiple offers, often those offers can actually bid up above your home value, but it also allows your home to sell quickly. Now, based on what your needs are and the fact that you're moving to Toronto in July, and July is just around the corner, I think it's really important that we're pricing your home strategically in the market so that we get multiple offers. Are you open for that? Ronnie, that are the 3 options of pricing their home. Again, share local trends, sales trends and past data. I would be sharing, my personal opinion is, and people give it different to you, but the way I do it is I share actives because it's their competition, solds because it's their it's kind of the past of what they would have done, and I share expired. Some people share pendings, which is not, or whatever you guys call it, but it doesn't matter. I share expires because I want them to see the top. Like if you're going to list over this, so I want the data to tell the story. My goal is to get them to come up with a price. Right? I don't want to give them that price. I want them to come up with it. So even if they said to me, listen, Jarrod, we're hiring you to give us a price. And I'm going to say, listen, no, actually what you're hiring me to do is help you sell your home. What I want to do with you is I want to look at data, and so that we come up with a price that we both agree on. Because I can give you a price, you may not agree on it. You can give me a price, we may not agree on it. I think it's really important that we agree on the price. Don't you agree with that? Yes, great. So I'm going to give you some data, and the data that I'm going to give you is going to allow us to come together so that we agree on how we're going to move forward with your listing from a pricing perspective. Fair enough? Perfect, right? And then you're going to walk through the process with them to self-discover the price. Sam.
So I'm new to this, and I'm actually still, like I said, I'm still in the process of signing up.
Yep.
The data you're talking about, like where would you be pulling this from? Like, is it internal? Like, is there like a
MLS,
like a data pool? MLS?
Yeah, the MLS. Okay. Yep. So you're going to pull that data straight out of the MLS, and so when you sign up and you'll get all that data within the MLS that you'll be able to pull up.
I see. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. It's again, people call it, I'm sure you've heard it called CMAs. Now, you can do a CMA for a property. It can be fancy and pretty. I never did fancy and pretty CMAs because I'm not a fancy and pretty type of guy. But you can do fancy and pretty CMAs. Here's the problem. Well, it's not a problem, but here's what a lot of agents do. They do have this pretty CMA and they hand the CMA to the seller, and they think the seller can actually navigate the CMA and understand what they need to do, and they can't. The way that I would do it is I would be going through, so you can do a pretty CMA, but make sure you're going through the CMA and being really clear on why you chose what you chose in the CMA and why the value is there. I didn't want a system spitting out a number to me. I wanted the seller to be able to go, I agree with that price. Right? I agree with that price. Makes sense to me. Because then they won't ever come back. Because you walk into a house and you go, I think your house is worth $450. And then in 3 months it doesn't sell, and you go to them and you go, listen, Sam, I'd love for us to do a price reduction on your house, or a price correction. I don't care how pretty, what kind of package you put it in. They consider it losing money. And you're going to them and going, hey, I'd like to do a price correction. Well, Sam, you told me you can sell at $450. Well, yeah, but I was trying to get you the most amount of money. Like, again, they start losing trust in you, losing respect. Like they, all of that sort of stuff. And so when you come up with the number together, then it's easy for you to go, well, listen, the number we came up with was based off of the data that we saw. I'd love to sit down with you again and review some of that data and talk to you about the strategic way. Remember, we also talked about how we price a home, the 3 options. And we chose to price the home a little bit over what we talked about in that meeting. Therefore, we chose to overprice the home a little bit. Let's sit down and look at the data again, Sam. Is that okay? Right? Because then you're not blaming yourself. You're blaming more of the data. Because let's be honest, we all want to get as much money for our sellers as possible. Like, that's our goal. Right? Now, sometimes our sellers think, well, you just wanted to price it up to make more money, but that's not how we work. That's not what we do. Right? We price homes to try and get as much for, for our sellers, right? So again, coming together with them in that is kind of the most important thing. All right, moving on to the last thing, which is kind of the closing, right? The closing is, we want to ultimately get into the right state, right? Like I always tell my agents, when you're going out on a listing presentation, you better be going out with the mindset of taking that freaking listing. Right? If you're going to leave that listing without the listing, there better be a good reason for it. Right? So make sure that your mindset isn't that. And I coach a lot of agents. I probably, I have a total of probably, when it comes to the teams I coach some of the top teams in North America. With all the teams that we have, I probably coach 800 agents. I see this so much, that agents they do a killer job on the listing presentation. They get to the end of the listing presentation. And they go, hey, if there's anything else you need, just give me a call. And they walk out the door, and I want to punch them in the throat. Because they had the freaking listing, they just didn't ask for it. Right? So you got to have, and that's why in the very beginning, we're talking about the 3 things that can happen, because it's an easy close at the end. Remember, as salespeople, we got to think from a psychology perspective. And have the right language, so it gives us a reason to close. I remember in the very beginning, we talked about the 3 things that could happen. I think I could help you get your home sold, and I'd love to move forward. Are you ready to move forward? Well, no, we're not ready to move forward. Hey, remember? So listen, there was 3 things that could happen. One was that you didn't think I was the right agent. So can I ask you, why do you think I'm not the right agent? Well, it's not that I don't think you're the right agent. It's that I'm interviewing this, agent, Sam. He's a great agent. He said he's going to be able to do it. So I just wanted to introduce Sam. Hey, I definitely understand. Is there anything that you're expecting Sam to say that I didn't say? Well, no. Okay, great. Well, do you think that based on what I shared with you today, that I could get your home sold? Well, then why don't I save you the time of meeting with Sam? I'll call Sam and let him know that I took the listing, and if he has a buyer, he can bring him by. Right? Be willing to close. We are in the sales business, and so many people in our business go, well, I don't want to be salesy. Well, you are selling a freaking home. Like, you are selling probably the biggest asset that anyone has. So I don't want you to be salesy either. I don't want you to be a sleazy car salesman, but I do want you to ask for closings. That's how you help people. Like, I used to watch my agents out in the parking lot doing the parking lot shuffle with buyers because they were afraid to go, well, listen, we saw this many homes today. Which was your favorite? Why don't we come into the office, sit down, talk about it, and let's get ready to put an offer together. Well, we're going to talk about it tonight when we lay in bed. Hey, that's really cool. Unless you invite me over to go to bed with you, then I'm not going to be there to answer any questions. So it's better that we come into the office and talk about it so I can answer any of those questions. Let's go. Right? They're all closing techniques to get people to move forward. It's not that you are salesy. Handle and isolate any objections, right? That's what I did with that, which is handling an objection. They didn't want to move forward. They didn't want to move forward because we were meeting Sam. I isolated that objection, and then I handled it. Now, listen, there's nothing Sam's going to tell you that I'm not. come the process of how we get started. This is how we get started. We're gonna get the listing agreement signed, and this is how we're gonna move forward. Reiterate your value. Don't worry, Sam. I got your back. We're gonna be able to get this home up, listed on the market, and get it sold fairly quickly. My goal is to help you get offers in as quickly as I possibly can. That would make you happy. Yep. Okay, perfect. Right? You're creating a sense of urgency, and then you're just gonna go, let's get the listing agreement signed so we can move forward. Right? That's how you're going to win in getting listings. And the last thing I'm going to talk about then is, remember, we are in a customer service business always. We're not in a selling homes business. We're in a building relationships business. I suck. I wrote a book about building relationships because I suck at relationships. I suck at building relationships with people because I don't care enough. It's not that I don't care about them. I just don't care enough. Right? And so at the end of the day, if they don't sell their house, it doesn't affect me. So I whatever. And that was kind of my attitude. And they would go, well, he doesn't really care. No, I care. I care about getting your home sold. But you don't seem to care. You want to price it at 500,000. So listen, I can't care more than you. Like that was my attitude, but that didn't get me places. So I had to learn personalities. I had to learn people. I had to learn how to deliver level 10 customer service. Like when my seller would call me 2 days after, well, do you have any offers yet? I was like, I wanted to say, are you kidding me? We listed it 2 days ago. It's not even in the MLS yet because I'm a real estate agent and I got scrambled brains and I didn't get it put in yet. Sorry. And they're like, well, you said you're delivering customer 10 service. And I'm like, yeah, right. Like that's what I want to say. But instead, I had to be nice. And sometimes being nice can be hard, right? And then over communicate. We have a habit of under communicating in our business. Right? I was so frustrated because I used to carry about 60 listings at any given time. Sellers never stopped calling me. And I said to Tom, sellers never stopped calling me. What do you do? He said, well, why don't you call them first? I'm like, that doesn't seem to make any sense. And he's like, yeah, so once a week, reach out to them and connect with them. Right? So once a week, Sunday afternoons, I'd sit down and I'd write emails. I'd pick up the phone. I didn't text a lot then, but emails and phone, and I'd over communicate with them about what's going on with their home. They stopped calling me like that. Because all they wanted from me was for me to communicate with them. Right? Set expectations. If we don't set expectations, then there's no expectations for anyone to live into. So it's even setting expectations with sellers. Hey, we need to make sure that your home is available to be seen. So when someone wants to see your house, you need to be available to kind of drop everything, get out so we can get someone in. Are you open to that? Right? Versus them calling and you go and trying to set an appointment with them and them not being willing. Right? And then do what you say you do. That sounds stupid, but listen, there's so many agents that don't do what they say they're going to do in our business. They overcommit when they're trying to list a house. They overcommit when they're representing a buyer, and they just don't do it. If you want to win, you just got to do what you say you would do. Nothing more, nothing less. Right? All right, guys, any questions on that stuff? I know I went through it fast. But at the end of the day, guys, two sides, listings and buyers, you got to master both sides. And we're a skill-based business. Skill-based business. Yes, some of us are better at building relationships. Some of us are better at selling. Some of us are better looking. Some of us are not. Like, dude, Angelo, like, he's a pretty intimidating dude. He needs to learn to chill and smile more so people aren't intimidated by him. Like, how many people know Tarek? How many people know Tarek? Do you guys know Tarek? Angelo, do you know Tarek Elatar?
Friends of a friend, yeah.
Yeah, like the dude is intimidating. Like he's a nice guy. He's a really good friend of mine. And I'm like, dude, you got to stop intimidating people. Like, stop doing it. He's like, I don't mean to, man. I don't mean to. And I'm like, I know, but this guy walks in dressed all, in tight clothes, bald, doesn't smile much. I'm like, dude, smile, be friendly, right? Right? That JF's on here, right? But that's the reality of it, right? And so guys, we gotta make sure that we're showing up. All right, any questions for me?
I guess additionally, you got to read the room and see who you're dealing with, because you can say certain things to certain people and you can't say certain things to other people, right? So you really got to understand who you're talking to, almost even look them up on social media if you can, kind of see where their head's at or who they are.
So Angela, I wrote a book called Adapt: Building Strong, Meaningful Relationships Through Self-Discovery. And do you guys know the DISC personality profiles? It is based around the DISC personality profiles, because my problem is I'm a high D personality, and I just go in, I can take over, and I that's just my personality. And I had to learn how, because most people aren't like that. Like, most people aren't high D driven personalities. And so people get easily intimidated when someone can walk in and take over. And so you have to really learn to read people, right? Read the room, read the people. And I mean, I joke with people, but I had to learn to hug people. Not a hugger, but like, there's so many people that like to hug, and I don't like to hug. I'm not a hugger. Like, my wife always said, Jarrod, you don't hug like this. I'm like, well, I don't know how to hug. Right. But you need, because man, when you're in a sales business, it's not their job to relate to you. It's your job to relate to them. Right? It's that simple, right? So, all right, any other questions? All right. Oh, you have it on chat. Jeff, I'm glad to see you here, man. I'm excited with you guys joining.
Where am I? Can you hear me?
Can I?
Can you hear
who's
me?
that?
That's me. That's JF.
Oh yeah, I can see. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. No, it's good to see you, Jarrod.
I'm excited, buddy. We'll have to catch up in person someday soon.
Absolutely.
All right, I gotta find the chat. Hold on, I gotta figure out what I did with the chat.
Lucas, how's it going, buddy?
And asking for discounts. So are you talking about the grilling piece and asking you for discounts? And listen, and so again, I'm a little bit of a hardcore personality when it comes to that. Like, for me, I would simply go, hey, I definitely understand everybody wants a discount, right? Really cool. So listen, if I came to you with a buyer and they wanted a discount on your home, are you willing to give them an equal discount? No, why not? Right? Why not? Oh, because you want as much for your house. I definitely understand that. And so there are times that discounts make sense, but for me, my job, especially in listing a home, my job is to represent you in the best possible way. And sometimes that costs money, right? And so at the end of the day, I want to be able to represent you the best I possibly can, right? You want that too, right? Right? Yeah, okay. And so if I were to give you a discount, where would you like me to discount my service? Would you like me not to advertise it? Would you like me not to do open houses? Where would you like me to discount what I give you? And then just be quiet. Well, you don't want me, so you want the full service for a discounted rate. I definitely understand that. However, unfortunately, if you want us to get your home sold for the most amount of time, or the most amount of money in the right amount of time, then discounting is probably not in your best interest. Does that make sense? Perfect. Now, JF is on here. JF, do you give discounts to past clients, sphere of influence, like all of that?
From time to time, I do. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
hard to do in my market in the East End. Agents have started discounting quite a bit. It's hard to compete with. You just got to come up with a good valuable, like, you got to come up with value. Like,
Yep.
I bring the arsenal, like, when I go, and sometimes I do have to do it but I try not to as much as I can.
So with
And
discounts,
people do understand once you show them, like, if you have a similar listing that looks like that showed really well, they understand why. And then, like, I mean, we have the staging, we have everything else, and we line up the people, and then they start adding the numbers, and they're like, okay, well.
yeah, because I'd be lying to you if I said I never gave a discount. My goal was to not give it. Here's the other thing with discounts, and I don't know why agents do this, but we do this as a whole. We go in and we ask for, we say, hey, listen, we charge 6%. Well, let's even say probably more like 5%, is it? But we charge 5%, and then they go, well, would you give us a discount? Would you do it for 4%? And a lot of agents go, sure, I'll do it for 4%. I mean, that's like what, 20% off of your check. So instead of doing that, and you want to make people feel special, you say, hey, I definitely, we can definitely talk about a discount. I'm not sure I can do 1%, but I can probably do it for 4.75%. Would that be okay? Because sometimes people ask for a discount just because they want you to give them a discount. They want to feel important enough that you give them a discount. Right? Give them 0.25 off. Why do we skip all the way down a whole percent or 0.5%?
Yeah.
Sometimes people just want to. What was that, Jeff?
In a lot of cases as well, like we've offered it. If we double end it, that will reduce to 4, and the odds are, in most cases, slim.
Yeah.
That will double end the deal. Like, I mean, it happens, but we're good at selling at other agents, and other agents will come in with, it depends. I won't offer this on all listings, but in some listings, I'll do it.
Yeah, and so again, sometimes, I'm going to tell you not to discount a full point, just do a quarter.
Yeah.
Just so that someone feels special. Like, I mean, don't be giving away your full check. All right, guys, I got to jump. Anything else for me? I'll chat with you guys on another training. Listen, if you need anything, you can always reach out to me. I know I'm not around a lot or much, but I am available. Friend me on Facebook and we can chat there if we need to.